Hey everyone, welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Popple. My co-host, William McClelland, couldn't make it today, but that's all right because I have two amazing guests on this week's episode. So this week, we're having our first power couple interview. We have Bryce Thigpen and Vivian Walsh. So they have been together for 4 years now. They acquired their first duplex not that long ago. And one of the things that Bryce said he is extra proud of Vivian is that they have 97% occupancy, which when they said that, I was blown away because that is, that's just way above average for short-term rentals. So she started a property management company for short-term rentals and also an interior design business. And she also has a free group to join on the new platform School for Airbnb. Her better half, Bryce Thigpen, is a wholesale extraordinaire. He also has a school community, the JV Academy, so definitely check that out. He's also a creative finance specialist, so I'm excited to have them on the show today so they can share their knowledge with us. So without further ado, welcome to the show, guys.
Hey.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Yes, likewise. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, and I'm excited to have you guys because I think I first connected with Vivian through Instagram. I saw her posting some short-term rental stuff and saw it was local to Pensacola. I think I might have saw her posting it in one of the local Pensacola groups, and then followed it over to Instagram. Then she told me about you, Bryce, and I was like, man, we got to get both you guys on the show together because I mean it sounds like you guys are really feeding into each other and helping each other succeed, and I just think that's awesome. And I definitely want to hear about how you guys are doing it.
Dude, when she told me we were talking to the Clean Eats guy, I was like, wait, I love Clean Eats, dude. I was so pumped.
Hey, that's a great. I didn't plug it, Bryce did. So everyone come and see us at one of the Clean Eats cafes, especially along the Emerald Coast. Those ones are mine, but all the Clean Eats in the country are awesome. So definitely go and see them. But let's hear a little bit about life before real estate. And maybe I guess we'll kind of start maybe individually, and then we'll kind of get to where y'all came together in 2020. So let's do ladies first. Vivian, what was your kind of life like before real estate? High school, college, all that leading up to the time you met your man.
So we actually met freshman year of high school. Okay. We were friends all throughout high school. And I came out to Pensacola to go to UWF actually. And I went there all 4 years. I think Bryce followed me out here junior year of college or something like that. And then we got together right after that. And I got my degree in psychology. I actually wanted to get my degree in interior design, but my parents were helping me pay for my degree. And they were like, yeah, that's not a real job. You're better off doing something different. So I went and got my psych degree, but now I'm doing interior design, which is kind of funny. But I was actually working towards getting my BCABA certification. I was doing behavioral therapy, and I was going to stick on that psychology path until Bryce brought up buying this really ugly duplex with all of my life savings. And I was like, I don't think so. I didn't see the vision. I have no idea where this journey was going to take us. But somehow he convinced me, and we bought it, and all of our family looked at us really weird. And it's pretty much been real estate since then.
That is awesome. All right. Now I'll let Bryce tell his side of the story, but Bryce, I'm gonna have to get up with you after the show to take some notes on how you were able to convince your lady to follow the dreams like this, because that's awesome. I've failed to do that in life, but so it's really definitely cool that you were able to pitch the dream and that she trusted you enough to follow along. So let's hear kind of your life before real estate, and why she believes in you so much.
Man, talk about a hard close. Patience and persistency. 2 years it took me to get her on the entrepreneurial path. But I think, and I can tie into that with my earlier story, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. In high school, I was selling everything from snacks to brownies to even little jewel pods off market with different flavors, just doing whatever I could because I was always in sales. So leading up to graduation, I think I did half a semester in college under business management or some kind of business associate of arts before I realized I'm losing money absorbing knowledge that's basically regurgitated high school information. So at that point, I kind of dropped out. My friend Connor was wanting me to move in with him over in Pensacola, and Vivian happened to live in Pensacola. I wanted to get away from the house. I wanted to move out, start my own venture. So over the next year, I pretty much put my head down and kind of just absorbed as much knowledge as I could about the economy, stocks. Drop shipping was something I was really big into at that time. And eventually I actually got into solar after a year later. And
okay,
I had acquired all this information to go pursue investments. And I was like, I'd really like to stack some liquidity first, right? Get some money coming in. And that was the same time Vivian and I started getting together, and I got real big into solar, where I really sharpened my salesmanship sword, you could say.
So were you one of those annoying guys knocking on doors, hitting the neighborhood hard?
Yeah, I always tell people I did it for 4 weeks before I got promoted to a closer, and I would just be the one who went to those appointments they would set. I wasn't trying to be out in the field that long, but man, it takes a dedicated person to do that. A lot of people, just like in business, can get one over with you. That happens so much in solar. So yeah, I was part of that demographic of the toxic solar people coming to your door. There's definitely, hey, if I went there though, you guys would have loved me. That was the one.
Well, and look, I say that jokingly, because at the same time, a salesman's only annoying to the person who wasn't interested in buying. So, so that being said, salesmen who are tough don't get their feelings hurt from the people that, slam the doors in their faces, because hey, those people weren't buying anything anyway. So gets you moving on to the next one who because as soon as someone stops to listen to you, they might be buying. So, so there's definitely, like I said, I joke about it as a homeowner that does not want to be disturbed. But at the same time, I definitely give props to anybody who has the audacity to stick with that and go with it, because that's how real salespeople are made, is doing stuff like that. So it's easy to see why you're so good at at wholesaling now, knowing you made your bones doing some door to door knocking.
I think door to door, knocking 100 doors teaches you significantly more than any degree could really teach you as far as business and sales. You get to understand the demographic of your area, the average American, and you really just get to understand how to communicate with different avatars. And you can take that anywhere you go. So really, like everything I've done today, I really attest all of that success to solar, and really the things I learned in solar, not as much as the money I made with solar.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that, because every time you knock on a door, you really got to be prepared for whatever, because you don't know, is it going to be a guy, a girl, old or young, what that, ethnicity, religious trait, anything like that, that can, vary it. So, because I actually live in a very diverse neighborhood, which I love, but it's definitely interesting, like, seeing all the different, cultures out there. So you can definitely see how that would make you a great salesperson. So, now we know you guys, came together in, 2020 is what I've, gathered. Who was it was there anyone early in life for either of you that, inspired y'all to, take the path towards real estate?
I really feel like it had a lot to do with the culture of when he was doing solar, and we were like surrounded by all these go-getters and all of these people like making all of this money that we I personally didn't really think was that attainable. And then I'm seeing all of these people around us doing it and succeeding, and that kind of opened up my belief lid on what's possible.
Nice.
Yeah, for real estate, it was more something I thought you needed money to get into. There's two influencers that come to mind. The first person who kind of opened up the idea of real estate to me is Meet Kevin. I don't know if you're familiar with him on YouTube, but he's a big real estate YouTuber. He's now like an economy kind of like educator on there, but he is the one who piqued my interest in investing into that long term. Now, the one who changed my whole life and made it to where real estate was very easy to get into. You can do this without needing as much money as you would think, and actually transformed the trajectory of how we're moving forward in life now, is Pace Morby. He's exactly where I learned how to do creative finance, how to get into wholesale. And dude, he's a freaking gangster. And the cool thing about Pace is he'll talk to you, man. Like if you message him on Instagram or if you send him a text, he'll get back to you. And you know it's him because he's sending voice messages. So as big as he is and as much value as he provides, he still has the time of day to, help out the average person with the question, which to me, that stood out. He told me not to get his course, not to sign into his community. And of course, a year later, that made me want to get into it more. So I owe everything honestly up to Pace for everything we're currently doing in real estate.
Cool. Big shout out to Pace. And, I've never met him, but I've been a huge fan. Follow him on Instagram, bought his book, read his book, love his book. I've done one deal that is technically a sub 2, but but not, I haven't done one fully, in the way that as far as it was basically someone else who I already owned the property, and so I bought half of it from them, but we just sub 2'd it, to our joint LLC. So I already had someone kind of involved on the other side of owning it. So I haven't done any fully yet, like he talks about in his book and like you've done, which I'm excited to hear about. He puts out tons of great knowledge. His book was very easy to read. Like you could tell he's like a regular person, but because it was anyone is able to comprehend that book. So it's
I agree.
He's a great storyteller, and he makes things really easy to understand. In the house that we're currently in right now, we got sub 2, so I couldn't be more grateful.
All right, so let's just go ahead and talk about the house you're in right now. How did this sub 2 deal come play? Is this the duplex or is this a different one?
No, this is a different house.
Okay, cool. So let's start. Yeah, let's talk about this house. So yeah, tell us about the sub 2 deal. I'm assuming Bryce was the man who found it.
Yeah, this actually came from Pace's sub 2 community. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, he basically has a private community where you can basically enroll and do deals with other students. So we were living in house hacking the duplex as we were renting out the other side as a short-term rental. We were looking for a bigger place. We have a golden retriever. Living in a 2-bed, 1-bath, 700 square foot place was not ideal. Additionally, we wanted to put on Airbnb, so we didn't want this place lived in before we got it listed. And for about 6 to 8 months, we were just searching for a good sub 2 deal in the area. I woke up one day and everyone and their mom was tagging me on this post of a gentleman named Michael Malisco, who I'm actually friends with to this day. He's another creative wholesaler in the community. And pretty much we had this deal. For anyone who doesn't know the Beulah area of Pensacola, this is where the new Navy Federal complex is. And they have a lot of new development.
Area. So,
yeah. Definitely an appreciative place. The building a Wawa is very close to our house, which is like we don't have one here, so that's pretty exciting. But the property was built in 2020. It was a 2.99% rate that we took over sub 2.
Wow.
And it was only 7% down before closing costs. So we were all out of pocket 10% of the purchase price at 2.99% interest. 2020 build. We closed in less than 14 days. Didn't use any of our own credit, and we're loving every part of it. I have the whole office now. So definitely a lot better than our 700 square foot place.
That's awesome. And how many beds, how many baths was it?
4.2. I think it's like 2096 square feet.
How much?
2096.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, that's definitely a nice comfortable home for the two of y'all. And man, what a great rate. I mean, and then yeah, for people that don't know, where he's talking about, that maybe listening from out of state, Navy Fed is one of the largest employers in Pensacola, and they built a huge campus in the Beulah area. So that is definitely a very up and coming spot. My partner and I, Will, are looking to be building up and towards that side of the county, doing build to rent, just because of Navy Fed is up there, so we know they'll continue to employ our tenants. No, that's a great area. And then how'd you guys get that duplex? Was that a sub 2 deal, or was that something y'all found through your wholesaling funds?
This was an interesting one. I'll take the reins because Vivian wasn't really part of this process. Okay. But when I was working in solar, I had a coworker who had left wholesaling to pursue solar. And he had this duplex he had been working on that him and his brother were supposed to buy themselves, but they couldn't qualify for 1099 reasons, stipulations of just 1 year income. And after a while, our lease was ending at the apartment Vivian and I shared. And I don't know. I just had seen some Airbnb things on Instagram and the algorithm was hitting me correctly after following Pace. And I'm like, you know what? This is completely possible. We can renovate this. I have the money. I have the liquidity. We can put solar on it, take advantage of the tax credit. And that is exactly what we did. So we took out an FHA loan. I was 1 year 1099, made great income, but didn't qualify. So I had co-signed with, or had signed simultaneously with Vivian. So we could take advantage of her W-2 benefits. And when we put the property under contract, it was a process because I was initially supposed to buy this at 200,000. He had it under contract at 190. And when I told him that we could pull the trigger, this was 15 days after discussing the financing and trying to get over that hurdle. So the biggest lesson I learned was put the property under contract first, find the money later. And I didn't know that saying at the time. So what ended up happening was my friend called me back and said, man, it's listed at 260 now with an agent. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude, like that kills the deal for me. I can't go above, 225, 230. Mm-hmm. So because I was a closer in solar, I was like, you know what? Get me an appointment with him at the duplex. Like I can just go take care of it. So I printed out a CMA, had never been in real estate before, never even ran a comp, never done anything. But from the research I gathered, I just did a CMA, figured out what it would have sold for. And then I subtracted what he would have got traditionally and what he would have netted and just offered him a competitive offer directly with me. So as I kind of closed him, I gathered his emotions. I was like, it's the last month. We have a few deals we're looking at. My girlfriend loves this place. So then at the end, once I got him tied in emotionally with me, I kind of justified it with the logic in the CMA. And it's like, dude, your property is probably going to sell for this based on comps. That's why your agent has it listed a little higher to negotiate down. After their commissions, you're going to make this. What if I just gave you that? And then he looked at me and said, can you do $5,000 over? And I shook his hand and that was it. So we met up at McDonald's the next day, put it under contract, and he had exited the agreement with his agent since it was so fresh and basically got it locked up at the exact number I needed it to for an FHA loan to make sense and the Airbnb exit strategy just to give me the cash on cash I needed.
Right. So did y'all immediately move into one side and then start the Airbnb business and the other side?
We had to renovate both sides. Go ahead, Viv.
I was gonna say pretty much. We did have a tenant that was in there when we first moved in, but his lease happened to just be ending. Like he wasn't there very long. So we just didn't renew his lease, and he was so cool, and we're still friends now. Like he was so supportive, and that was really nice. He even helped us like hang up our blinds and stuff.
Through that, he invited us to a Kevin Gates concert for free a few months ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I will say it's like you definitely it's great you guys shared a great leaving tenant story because there's so many of them are nasty. Like when you hear about oh man, I just bought this duplex and the guys refused to leave. I had to pay lawyers to evict or you hear all kinds of stories. So it's really nice to hear one shared of like no, sometimes it goes easy. And people just. Yeah. Do the right thing according to what it says, and that actually probably happens more often than not because it's always the bad stories that people tell about. They don't everything went going well is not a very exciting story to tell.
Right. He's a human though. I mean, we talked to him. Everything was super amicable. We told him like he asked to stay, and I was like George, like when we brought this property, like. We only made the numbers work based on renting both units on Airbnb to achieve a certain metric. So there was no emotion. It was just purely emotionless. And he understood that completely. And then like Vivian said, he helped us with certain renovations and no hard feelings whatsoever because he understood the predicament we were in. He completely understood where we were at. And I think a lot of people, especially when they buy virtually, they forget that human element that comes into play. This is this guy's home. Like he enjoyed laying out in the backyard and just chilling at this place. So for me to take that away from him and not have an explanation or to have him peek into our situation, I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They just take that human element out of it and they're like, nope, we're not renewing. See ya. And then that's that.
Right. No, that makes total sense. So, now we kind of heard about, those two properties. I kind of want to just hear about life today. And, both of y'all kind of have your own sides of the businesses that y'all do, with Vivian doing, more of the Airbnb hosting and then the interior design. So what's your day-to-day look like, these days, Vivian, like how do you manage the businesses? How are you adding clients, and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I'm really lucky that we just make such a good team because we've got two totally different like personalities and things that we're good at. So I had the best time just designing it and like going crazy, and he made the numbers work, which is, I guess, also important.
Yeah.
um,
Now, I'm
but
actually,
yeah,
as I look at my screen right now and see the two of y'all, it's like I definitely see who's like you're kind of the more bubbly people person of the one, and then who's the number cruncher, figuring out like y'all definitely, yeah, it's in the auras as well.
yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I'm managing the Airbnbs. We have been using Guesty. We use a lot of different tools. We use Guesty, Turno, um, AirDNA when we're looking at new properties for clients and things
Let's
like that.
let's break some of that down a little bit for for listeners. So, what is it you use Guesty for?
So we list on all of the major platforms, not just Airbnb. We want to also be on Booking.com, VRBO, Google Vacation Rentals, and our direct booking site as well. So most channel managers will create you a direct booking site, which is really nice, really, really helpful. So you can remarket to past guests and kind of skip a lot of those extra fees that no one really wants to pay. And then you're relying on those channels less, which is nice. But the channel manager syncs all of those calendars together, so you can manage it all from one place, and you're not having double booking. So if you get an booking on Booking.com, it'll automatically block your Airbnb calendar for those dates. So that's super helpful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it really helps you put everything in one place. Like even the smart locks that we use, if someone books on Booking.com or VRBO or Airbnb, it doesn't matter. It will automatically create a code for that guest for those dates, and it will send it to them as well. So like we have our automated messages, like it's just everything for every channel all in one spot. It's really, really great. So our automated messages is like, hey, thanks for booking. Here's your dates. Hope you're all set. Here's your code. Here's your address. And it's just so perfectly concise and automated, most importantly. You can
Like a
sync it with
for businesses, but for short-term rentals.
Yeah, no, I definitely like it.
Yeah.
And just say again because I want to highlight that Vivian's currently building her client list, and so she's definitely looking for new clients in the Emerald Coast area, especially in like Pensacola Beach, Navarre Beach, to do short-term rentals or even that downtown Pensacola area, but anywhere in this area. So tell what your future customers, if someone went with you to manage their property, what all platforms did you say they'd be listed on? You said Airbnb, VRBO, but you said something about, you said Google Vacations. Actually, I'm not totally familiar with that. So yeah.
Yeah, there's like a Google vacation rental site as well. It's pretty much just like the same as all the other ones. We just want to make sure that we're hitting like all of the top sites that people are looking for, so that we're not just relying on Airbnb. Although we do mostly get bookings from Airbnb, we have gotten, Booking.com and VRBO. So it's just great to be in all the different spots. So you don't want to rely on one channel too heavily. And then again, really stressing the direct booking site, because you don't want to get screwed if something happens with one, which it wouldn't, but you just want to put all your you want to be able to have your own site, and then people are paying less because they don't have to pay the fees, and you can directly remarket back to your past guests. So that's super helpful to be listing everywhere.
No, that's definitely a benefit. And then I'm just gonna say to someone who has short-term rentals as well, 97% occupancy is unheard of. So like I'm definitely thinking about letting you take over my stuff, because like it's like, man, that's a high number. And for anyone who kind of needs me kind of relate numbers relative to that, if and I don't know what Vivian's fee is, so I'll let her talk that with one-on-one consultations with people. But the average short-term rental management fee is usually somewhere between like 20 and 35%, so anywhere there. So if you can only rent it out, say 50% by yourself, you're better off having someone manage it who can rent it out 90% of the time because, their fee, they're actually going to, make that up themselves with all the extra dates they end up booking for you. So, no, that's really cool. And then you said you use AirDNA also. That's to evaluate properties to make sure they're good for Airbnb, correct?
Yes, and that's where it's so helpful having my numbers guy, because he gets in there and he plugs in the address and he runs, I don't know, he crunches numbers. He just gets on his little keyboard and makes some magic happen. He understands it, and I like that.
That's awesome. What is it you look for, Bryce, that helps find like the perfect short-term rental?
Well, location is a big one for me. We won't accept anything outside of the Panhandle. So that's the number one determining factor. But I want to touch on the direct bookings real quick before I answer that.
Yeah.
I think it ties in a little bit. It's a long-term investment. So if anyone's familiar with ad spend, you typically spend money on ads to build data to learn how to retarget more efficiently. And that's exactly what you're doing with direct bookings. You want to figure out how to extract as much data from them to retarget for free. So one cool thing that we do is we require them to put in their email to connect to our Wi-Fi. And we're also extracting their numbers for after they book through Guesty. So now we can go retarget them through text messages and emails. So now after 1 to 2 years later, we have them on a campaign and they're having a cheaper way to stay with us. And we're able to make more money by avoiding the fees. So that's one thing that we love doing. Now, as far as what we look for in AirDNA, I cross-reference a ton, right? I'm going to go on AirDNA and look at the worst performing Airbnb and then the best performing one, try and find an average comp. And then I'm going to do a deep dive on the actual Airbnb and try and justify the numbers that I'm actually seeing. Is this low performing Airbnb performing differently because of X, Y, and Z versus this other one that's performing very well? And if I can make sense of why it's performing well, then at that point, I'll feel comfortable saying, okay, this is my, revenue estimation. Another thing I like to do is take Airbnbs, maybe someone I know already or one of our Airbnbs, and I will go constantly check to see if those revenue estimations are accurate based on the numbers I know are bringing in on the actual business side of things. So if those are accurate, which they have been, I feel a lot more confident in telling someone about the revenue estimations on an Airbnb 10 minutes away from mine because it's already accurate on mine, and vice versa for any other locations where we have people who have Airbnbs in Fort Walton, Destin, etc. So definitely location, and then just justifying the actual revenue. A lot of people I think will look up the revenue and be like, that's it. And they don't do any further filtrations or, they don't proceed further on Airbnb to see if that's actually attainable.
Okay, cool. And then, what is it y'all use to get the email through the Wi-Fi? What kind of setup is that?
So we have online guidebooks, property guidebooks, and whenever they log into that, it collects their information. But also now that we're using Guesty automatically collects all of their information just from when they make the booking. And
you can do StayFi. It's StayFi to answer the question though, because we use Guesty now, but that's a privilege. We were using StayFi for people who don't have Guesty. I don't mean to cut you off. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah. No. I think that's good because that's definitely a great way for anyone who has a short-term rental to then retarget, to do a direct booking and stuff. One thing I caution everybody on, because I have had some crazy Airbnb stories. The great thing about Airbnb is Airbnb insurance. That's my favorite thing about it. It's one of those things that you don't know how much you love it till you need it. And once you need it, you really know you love it. So I definitely have had I had a whole 8-foot sliding glass door get shattered one time. So that was definitely one that was fully paid for by Airbnb, like almost $4,000. I had a whole sectional couch replaced one time. That was a $1,500 couch. They cut the check for it, no problem.
Air cover.
That's good. So the only reason I bring that up is to caution people that when you do direct booking, just make sure you have your short-term rental insurance in line. Mm-hmm. Make sure you have short-term rental specific insurance if you're doing short-term rentals, because insurance is no good if it doesn't protect you when you need it. So make sure you have the right type for doing short terms. And just like I said, I want to caution everyone of that. But outside of making sure you're covered on insurance, definitely. Direct booking is the best for both the guest and the host. So that way, host can make a little bit more money and guests can pay less fees and save some more money. So it's definitely a win-win. Bryce, what's like your typical day look like? Now you're wholesaling and You have your JV community and stuff like that. Well, what is it, you're kind of doing on the day to day?
Man, I wish I could say I woke up and did a whole elaborate morning routine and did an ice bath and listened to Goggins, but that's not the case. I'm working on getting better at establishing a morning routine because my life is pretty chaotic. It's a whole bunch of deals I'm constantly working on to sell and a whole bunch of notifications I'm constantly on. I'll wake up, get right on my phone and deal with everything from deals already in escrow to buyers calling me, asking about certain deals, having to send contracts, etc. But to narrow it down to two specific things, I sell deals and I'm constantly utilizing creative finance to help other people structure deals and help them sell it on the back end. So I'd say one of the biggest things that I'm constantly doing is talking to buyers and then talking to agents, wholesalers, investors in general, figuring out how to take out this Rubik's Cube of creative finance to solve their problem and make it work. Whether we need to take over payments, maybe we need to finance some of their equity. Whatever the case is, a lot of people in this area and really outside of Florida as well will come to me to help them solve these problems creatively just to then help them sell it on the back end. So it's definitely something I'm using to vertically integrate our disposition business, but they kind of go hand in hand, right? If I'm going to be the one helping structure the deal, there's a high chance I know the one who's willing to buy it as well, right? So
about how many closings are you doing a month?
Well, we recently stepped up our disposition game a few months ago. Last month, we had 9 deals assigned, 6 deals closed out. Right now, we are at 5 assigned. I think, today's the 13th. So hopefully we can get to 10 for this month. But we still have 21 deals under contract. And the biggest clog that we have is delegation issues. We need a full-time integrator that we're interviewing right now so we can actually properly onboard a VA to take over a lot of our outreach and operative work inside the system. But right now, I think we're on track to be doing consistently a minimum of 5 deals a month, which is, I'm stoked about that. I'm just trying to figure out how to get that to 10 now.
Right. So it leads me to my other question I was going to ask is then, I'm really curious about on the creative finance front, like tell me like maybe your most interesting or maybe 3 most, it depends how long the stories are, but, like give some good examples of, like a real story on, how someone, utilized your help with, the creative financing.
Oh, I have a great story. We just closed this one out a couple weeks ago. This was in Miramar Beach. You can walk to the beach. It's a 2-minute walk from the condo.
Beautiful area.
And there's a gentleman in the sub-2 community with and I know there's a shortage of students over here that are in Pace's group. So I started a little meetup and about 4 people came, Sam.
Okay.
So in my head, I'm like, oh, this meetup's a dud. I didn't expect there to be that many. I was hoping for at least, 8. But I met a gentleman there named Thomas who had a short-term rental in Miramar, which is his condo. And, after a couple months, he hit me up and was asking us about some revenue estimations and, just tips on Airbnb and his current management. And ultimately he decided, and I want to sell this thing. Can you help me sell it? And he wanted to keep the passive income because he was a very liquid guy. So in his head, he's like, I would love to seller finance this to someone since he was in the sub-2 community, he understood the benefits. Mm-hmm. And he said, I would like to finance my equity. Can you buy it? Or do you know someone who could? And I was like, absolutely. Like we could help you out. So I structured an agreement with him. He had a 3.3% interest rate, turnkey condo, 2-bed, 2-bath, right next to the beach. And he owed about $382,000. It was worth $500,000.
Okay.
So he would have net about $82,000 if he sold it traditionally on month 1 with an agent. Mm-hmm. And that's if he got his asking price. Now, with the offer we structured, we were able to give him, I think, $540.
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to also help like anyone new. So the reason Bryce is saying that, and Bryce, you can fill any numbers for me if you want, but he's saying that's what he would net because even though some of my notes, there's a little over $100,000 profit margin there. The 60% typical real estate agent has to come out of that, closing costs, taxes on profits. So yeah, I mean that's where everything comes in. Where like it might look like that, but at the end of the day, you're not going to take all that home. So I always like to break it down for everybody so they know where it's coming from. But yeah, keep going with that though.
Yeah, and to add on to that, like let's say it takes 3 months to sell. Well, now it's less than $82,000, which is the reality for the majority of investors. And then on top of that, Thomas would have had to pay taxes on that $80,000 that same year. So with the creative offer, we were able to give him $540,000, no agent representation needed. He received $25,000 down, And then I believe it was an additional 130 that he had financed at 3% that he was going to receive payments on. So now he's receiving close to 160 grand. There's almost 80,000 more reasons why he chose to go the creative route. And with that being said, you know, he's also spreading out his capital gains liability because he's not being taxed on the full 80. He's being taxed on the money he receives every year, which is that 25,000 down plus those monthly payments. So for him, he's going to make more money overall. He gets to spread out his taxes, and he still gets to make that passive income while not being the direct landlord or having to bleed money on Airbnb because Airbnb is not his thing, right? Now, the coolest part about it was because this is a sub-2 deal, you didn't need any credit. We could close really quickly. And my friend Connor Hollis, who I actually knew since middle school, his dad was actually able to be a private money lender for him since they own their own property management company. He funded the entire thing for Connor, and now Connor gets to pursue his first Airbnb. He kind of got excited about it because he saw us with the duplex, and he just like, man, I could do this, you know?
Right.
Now he's taking over that condo and going to turn it into an awesome Airbnb, and hopefully we get pictures back next week. We can see what it looks like.
Dude, that's a really cool story. It's I mean, it just shows how beautiful creative finance can be because everybody won there. You know, so really cool. Is there any? Do you have any other examples that, like said of like another one that you might have done that maybe was trickier?
Oh, there's always a lot of tricky ones. I have a good one. We'll go over. This one's closing tomorrow. Actually, this is in Converse, Texas.
Okay.
And it was a sub-2 deal that was initially done where the buyer bought it sub-2 and realized he wants to sell it because the exit strategy isn't working for him. He was trying to do a co-living and the HOA wasn't allowing it. So now he has to sell this deal sub-2 again, which is fine. However, the first leg of the transaction was done incorrectly. Okay. There was no protection for the seller. When we do sub-2 deals, we formally refer to them as what we call mirror wraps or mirror loans. And what we're doing is we're taking a second mortgage and creating it, but instead of it being from the bank to the seller and their loan, it's going to be from the seller to the new buyer. And this new mortgage note will mirror the underlying terms of what's being taken sub-2. This does two things for the seller. It gives them proof of income via note to be able to wash out their mortgage debt. And then it also gives them a security against the home to send it to foreclosure and potentially take it back if they were to default. So this transaction did not have that in place, which means if the buyer were to default that I sell this to, or even the current one who holds the deed, they're crap out of luck. Their credit will get tanked and they have no recourse to take the home back. So we're actually adding in additional documents that will protect the seller that they didn't even realize they were missing. And we're doing this not on just this transaction, but we're doing it on a second one that closes on the 15th. And we did it on a previous one last month. You won't believe how many transactions there are out there that we call naked sub-2s where there's no protection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're coming in and it's a few hundred extra bucks, sure, but I'm making sure the buyer's paying that to ensure there's not compensation, but protection for the seller. And I want to be able to sleep at night. I don't want to go into Sam's and hide my face when I look at certain people. We want to make sure things are done correctly. So I think dealing with those is a little bit more interesting because now you're having to have a conversation with the seller. Like, hey, here's the protection you didn't even know you realized you needed. Here's new documents that we're going to have you sign for a home you've already previously sold.
Yeah, no, that's very intriguing because I had no idea that was something that could happen. And man, so that's something I just learned. Wow, and it sounds like it's something that's kind of prevalent. So that's definitely, if anyone's selling sub-2, you definitely, I guess, want to make sure that you have a mirrored wrap around mortgage like you were discussing, because that could definitely be bad if all of a sudden and you get notified one day that your credit got shot because someone hadn't paid the mortgage in 3 months. Wow, that's crazy. Vivian, let me bring it back to some short-term rentals because wholesaling can be stressful. Short-term rentals are happy and fun. You're dealing with people's vacation time. What's one of the things that like people were like kind of like most grateful for? Like, because I'm sure you've gotten some like I can tell you probably put the package together for people. So what's something that like they just like thanked you for? Something special you did for guests staying at one of your places.
Honestly, I can think of so many. Like, it's the little simplest things that like I didn't think much about, but people, it just stands out to them. Like, from the minute they walk in, there's a little welcome to the Hosta Hangout, Ashley, enjoy your stay or whatever. Like, they just like that little personal touch of seeing their name. It just feels like, oh, this space was like set up for me. Like, how thoughtful. And then they go in the bathroom and we have like Q-tips and toothpicks and like the little things that I know I forget all the time when I go on vacation. So
Right.
people will text and like thank me for that. Like, oh, that was so thoughtful. Or they'll like leave it on the review. Like they have everything you need. We try to go above and beyond in all those little things, like having what they expect, like having, they're going to expect coffee. So let's also provide sugar, creamer, tea, different things with that. So just like take it to the next level a little bit. Recommendations. People love feeling like a local. People really appreciate when we're like, hey, this is our favorite coffee shop. This is our favorite little dive bar. Like, here's this little bar that, you would have never found if a local didn't tell you about it. People love those little spots and like they appreciate that a lot. I think that changes their experience quite a bit. And even little things that like maybe they don't directly say, but I can tell that they're enjoying because of the way that like things are left. Like we have a little spot with like just like a soccer ball and a football and a couple of like random little toys outside, and they're always like scattered around the yard. I can tell that the kids were playing with them or whatever. So yeah, it's just like all these little tiny touches that are cheap, but people just appreciate.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. A few years back, I started doing, like having a little snack bowl set up for when they come in. So, like in my place that sleeps 8, I have it set up where there's like 4 packs of crackers and 4 packs of cookies. So that way, it's a mixture between sweet and salty. And I've definitely, people are really grateful, whenever they come in and there's a little snack and fresh bottle of water in the fridge for them. So that's great. So we talked about good. Now with the good comes the bad. What's the worst message you've ever gotten back? Whether it be just a fiasco that happened that was not your fault to something that might have been your fault. Like what's the craziest one you've had to deal with so far?
I don't feel like we've been really lucky. I don't feel like we haven't had too many like bad experiences. I would say we have had someone like pull up and not realize it was a duplex, even though we clearly state it's a duplex and there's photos showing that it's a duplex.
Right.
They didn't notice. They pull up, they're like, oh, I didn't realize it's a duplex. And then they come up with something like it smells like smoke and it's whatever. And then they're trying to get a full refund when it was really their fault.
One person messed with our irrigation system, and now we have to resod a significant.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a good story. So what happened there?
Someone didn't like the sprinklers going off, and they changed the whole schedule, and we took too long to notice, and now like half of our grass is dead on one side, and we have to replace it.
Oh wow, man,
that sucks.
Zip tie. Long story short, zip tie the irrigation.
Zip tie that box shut.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I will say I do have at my single family home where I do have sprinklers. I have them set to go off at like I think 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. because I just figured bars close in our area at 2 a.m. over there, so that way even if they're out late, they should already be sleeping in that gap time. But yeah, that's when I got.
Yeah, that's what ours goes off like that early in the morning too. I don't understand. Somebody just wasn't having it.
Oh wow, no, that's crazy. So,
yeah, but I mean, aside from like a couple little things like that, I feel like we've been really lucky.
We're very proactive, and we identify red flags very early on. And
we are very picky. We're very picky.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't have any like reviews, we'll ask for a photo of their ID, even though we know they've already been ID verified. It just makes us feel better. Like, and I feel like it's putting in their head like that extra layer of.
We'll find you.
We'll find. Yeah. Exactly. And if anyone has like one bad review, I'm not gonna lie, we're like, no, not taking it. Someone messaged me on VRBO and was like, can I book ? I'm 18 ? And I was like, for you have to be 21 because you use too many question marks. So we were like, no, sorry.
No, I've definitely had a few of those. I've had to weed out and stuff. So that's definitely funny. I think I was telling y'all before in the story about how I had a glass slider shattered one time. That one was kind of funny for me because the guy messaged me pretty much like checkout was at 10 o'clock. Message at 10:10 said, "Hey man, everything was great. By the way, I had an issue with the slider, but don't worry, I'll take care of it." That was it. And and so it's like, issue with the slider? Like, what could that be? And I'm like, okay, there's only like two things that can happen with a slider. It's cracked or shattered. So like, what is it? About 3 minutes later, when I was questioning, I get a call from my cleaner, like, "You're not going to believe this shit."
Did he pay for it?
So it ended up going. I don't think he told me he was going to need more time, so I just went ahead and put it through the Airbnb support system.
Yeah.
And Airbnb ended up cutting me a check. I think over time, he has to end up paying Airbnb back or something like that. But that was kind of where I was going in the beginning when I said, make sure you have good insurance if you're going to do renting it yourself and not renting it through the Airbnb platform, because things like that can happen. It's rare. It's wild. It doesn't happen often. Thankfully, you guys haven't had any issues yet, but promise you, as soon as y'all keep growing it, you're gonna eventually have one. That's the only thing that happens when you keep getting bigger is you keep getting bigger and you got more problems to deal with.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
Plus, if you don't have short-term specific, they don't cover like the items in the house, right?
Right. No, for sure. And and I'm not, that'll be kind of on the report. But if it's not a short-term rental policy and you don't they don't have that notated and they find out they'll definitely, insurance companies are always looking for a reason not to pay you.
Of course,
that's what they do. So that's what they look for. And I actually noticed it recently. Because since my insurance person knows I have both short terms and long terms, like she'll specifically ask me like, "Hey, are you using this house for short term rental or long term rental?" And that was the whole reason I knew there was initially a difference, and I had to be cognizant of that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's a huge point. That's super important.
Yeah, for sure. What's kind of I'm assuming you guys are continuing to grow together and going to spend a lifetime together. I'm kind of ask you guys this question together. What's your we'll go back up as I was about to jump to the end game, but what's like the next 12 months look like for each of you? So let's take that one separately. Vivian, what's the next 12 months look like between interior design and short-term rental management? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, I definitely am just looking to scale the short-term rental management. We have all of our systems set up now, and like we've got all of the right tools. We've spent so much time, creating these perfect systems, and so now I'm just ready to plug in other properties and like keep it rolling, keep it going, just hook everyone up to what we've got going on and grow with them. So growing that, I'd love to do some more interior design projects, of course. That way I can stop decorating this house because I'm just going all over the place. Like, okay, we need to paint this, we need to do that. I just did Bryce's background in his office because
that looks sweet. I like it. Yeah,
I had to decorate something.
Yeah, no, you definitely gave him a solid background. So I like that wall and that JD light in the background. That's badass. So, and then on the interior design side, do you focus more on interior design for vacation rentals or interior design for people's homes, or you like it all?
I mean, I like it all, but definitely the vacation rental is like that's just so beneficial to any investor who's investing in short-term rentals, because I mean, if you scroll on Airbnb, like there's everyone and their mom has an Airbnb, and like if you don't stand out and like you're not drawing the eye and people aren't like, oh my God, that is so cute and so different, I love that, like they're gonna scroll right past you because someone else is doing it right and someone else is catching their eye.
100%. And I'll add on to that there was a little bit of time during the COVID era that pretty much if you threw it up on Airbnb, you could rent it and make money. but that time has kind of passed, and now it's quality over quantity. Like people like there's tons of them out there, so people are like, well, what's this one have that makes it special? So I'm gonna give Vivian a shout out because one thing that you have a real advantage with her is that if you just bought just an empty condo, most people would have to then decorate it and then get a proper management company. But you could just call Vivian straight up, and she can then do the whole thing, help you decorate it, get it set up right to then host. Because also she's going to be more incentivized to make it be really great because she gets the commission off the rentals. So, I mean, it's just like, I like to look at like, why would someone do the best job for me? That's why she's incentivized to do a great job, because the easier it is to rent, the more it rents for, the more she can make on the back end, which the more you'll also make on the back end. So no, I think those are that's an ultimate combo together, doing interior design so you can make the very perfect vacation rental and then manage that vacation rental to success. I mean, I think that's definitely great. And then, Bryce, what's your next 12 months look like? Like, what are you gonna zero in on? And then you don't need the morning routine, man. Alex Ramosi says just get
I told Vivian that yesterday, actually. We left the seminar. They're talking all about the morning routine. I was like, Alex Ramosi said we don't need it.
Right. Nah, dude. Yeah. So I'm telling you, just keep doing what you're doing because you're already on a great track. So yeah, what you doing the next 12 months?
Well, delegation, so I have time for a morning routine.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing I'm focused on right now. We have all the chess pieces together. It's a matter, we're missing 2 chess pieces before we can fully play the game is how I'm thinking of it right now. With the CRM that we've recently opened up, with the disposition company, and with the short-term rental management, you can tell I'm the numbers guy because Vivian had no numbers she gave you for the goals. We want 10 clients for the property management company over the next 12 months. And I would like to get my businesses between our school community, the disposition, and the CRM to be generating around 30 to 50,000 a month to be able to get to our end game, which is, I'm assuming what your next question was going to be.
That was going to be it. So, I mean, well, since you're already, knowing the interview, man, you go ahead and let's go ahead and start there. So, yeah, what's the end game look for you guys, as far as, where you want to take your path?
I think I impressed this end game upon Vivian, and she kind of just decided that was her end game as well. I think that's how I kind of closed her between the door knocking experience and the sick ass goal for what we could get and achieve is how she started joining me on this. But what we would like to do is have a farm out in Colorado and do something called land hacking. So we're going to need at least over 30 acres in the mountains of Colorado. And we're going to basically develop a village very similar to what you see in Coldwater Gardens in Milton, where they have tree houses with hot tubs, glamping tents, camping, cabanas.
I was just looking at that the other day, thinking about booking a weekend, with someone I was talking to, over there. So yeah, no, that's really cool. Glamp ground set up.
100%. And I mean, they have 300 acres, I want to say. But they can do so much, especially in Colorado. I believe they're making at least 120K a year in revenue from the calculations I did on their website for how many bookings they had in their tree houses. So what we're going to do is build a farm. We're going to build 3 houses, one for my mom and dad, one for my sister and her husband, and then one for us. So we can all have that communal aspect, have organic food. And I really want to retire my parents by doing this. And the reason it works is because we can take our Airbnb short-term rental knowledge and basically vertically integrate it with that through direct bookings. Because once you're building a village, no one books Coldwater Gardens off Airbnb. They have a website where people specifically will go to for those getaways. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And on that land, it's cool that you can land hack, because not only can you land hack by developing many different structures, but maybe one part of the land you use as a beautiful wedding venue. One part of the land we're going to turn into a meditation retreat. One part of the land we're going to live on with our family. And then one part will be that village. How we're going to divide that and map it out will be contingent on the land. But I do know we need to be making around 30 to 50K to be able to have the time, money, and energy to actually get into it. It's really not the money. It's really the energy and time. Right. I feel like if my businesses were doing 30 to 50 grand a month, I'd have a lot more time to raise capital and pursue that endeavor, rather than now it's like I'm still, waking up to chaos. I don't even have a morning routine I can implement yet. So that's my goal for the next 12 months, is to get me more on track to that actual end game in 2028.
Yeah. No, I love it. Maybe you want to add anything onto that? Any kind of special animals or anything y'all are gonna have at your farm together?
Oh, we have to have chickens,
Yeah.
and we gotta have a big old greenhouse. I want a hammock in the greenhouse so I can just like live out there as much as I want.
Awesome.
I kind of want an orangutan. I think having an orangutan
Bryce wants an orangutan.
or a
No,
golden
what is it
flamingos
called?
monkey.
Okay.
There's a monkey
Yeah.
you have to get it from the mountains of China, but bro, they're like 4 feet tall. They look like humans. They're super furry. Like I could definitely have a monkey out in the mountains.
Wow. Yeah. No, that would be a pretty cool animal. Not to mention, what a great attraction, because you guys could just do every day at the lodges. You have your monkey photos and stuff.
Oh yeah, we could put a convenience store because when you're glamping camping, there's a lot of stuff that you rely on those local convenience stores for.
Right.
So,
well, what's cool is because I actually raise backyard chickens as just a little side hobby, and I just raise the eggs for myself. Me being a gym guy and protein junkie, I eat a lot of eggs, so I don't try to sell mine or anything. But if I was doing kind of like what y'all are doing, it'd be really cool to where you do have enough chickens to where you guys can then be having farm fresh eggs in your stand. So it's truly giving having all organic food right here coming from the grounds. It's just really cool. That's what I like about some of my eggs coming from the backyard is my chickens are just eating fresh stuff out back and producing eggs.
Yeah.
It's cool. The yolks are definitely darker when they're fresh. So now we talk about what the end is. I always like to kind of help people get to where you guys are today. So what's we'll start with Vivian. What's your favorite book? And you can go to top 3 favorites if you have a few that made an impact. But what are some of your favorite books that kind of helps you get to where you are today?
I know Bryce is gonna want to say this one too.
Don't steal mine. Come on.
Outwitting the Devil.
Okay. Yeah, y'all can have the same book. Outwitting the Devil's a good one. I love Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill. That's it's all about changing the way you think. I don't know. I'm a big of course. I'm sorry to be basic, but I'm into all the manifestation stuff. There's another one I'm reading right now.
I'm looking at my vision board right now. So, you're talking to a guy that truly believes in the law of attraction. I've taken a 250 King Ranch, a beachfront condo, just to name a few things that were started off on my vision board that became reality to me. So yeah, it's real.
Yeah. I can't think of the book that I was reading about this, but I've learned about some manifestation techniques, and I can think about when we were living at the duplex. It wasn't the best neighborhood to go walking. There wasn't sidewalks or anything like that. And I remember walking my dog, and I learned about this manifestation technique of literally closing your eyes and pretending you're wherever you want to be. So I would literally be walking my dog, closing my eyes, pretending I'm on a sidewalk in a nice, super safe neighborhood. And now I'm walking my dog and we're in this gated community on the sidewalk, and it's wow, it happened. But journaling is a huge one. I would journal every single night. Thank you for this home that we've moved into. And I specifically said 4-bedroom, 2-bath, all these specific things that I wanted. And yeah, I got them. But manifestation.
She manifests.
Yeah.
I'm can you think of this for me?
So yeah, I know. So in my top probably 5 most impactful books of all time is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So I've read Outwitting the Devil. That was great. Like I said, pretty much everything he has is really good, and his writing is amazing to me because it's really written in a timeless fashion. You read it today, and it applies like it was written yesterday, when in reality it was written over 100 years ago. And it's kind of really intriguing to me. Bryce, same question. What are your favorite books? Now you got to pick a different one than Outwitting.
Well, my answer was first read Outwitting the Devil, secondly read Think and Grow Rich. That was going to be my answer right there. And I think it's super important to read Outwitting the Devil before Think and Grow Rich. I think a lot of people see Think and Grow Rich and they're like, I want money, and they read it, but their mindset's not really in alignment with the book beforehand. Fun fact about Napoleon Hill, he wrote Outwitting the Devil, I believe in the 1910s through 1920s, and deemed it too controversial to be released in its time era. So he released it 70 years later after the massive success of Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
And you know, I suggest reading Outwitting the Devil prior to Think and Grow Rich, because he speaks about Think and Grow Rich and kind of foreshadows the success of it in the 1910s to 1920s before it blows up. So I really love the mindset and the early on like peek into his life and with the Outwitting the Devil. It changed my whole life mentally, to be honest with you. Think and Grow Rich was a great supplement to it because I'd already been on alignment with the beliefs. So now when I'm reading Think and Grow Rich, it's kind of like a regurgitation, but more on the business side rather than just the personal life, mental side. They're all very similar, but I definitely think Outwitting the Devil is just, if you can only pick 2 books, I would pick those 2, to be honest. And then The Go-Giver is an honorable mention.
Okay.
I have to bring up another one. Atomic Habits was so good for me, so good to me. I like took it to heart. I think I read it during the 75 Hard that last year when we did it, and I like immediately put it to use. And I still like do a lot of those things like to this day. Like I will be like, okay, if I don't want to work out, I just have to go to the gym, right? And then you get there and you're like not just gonna stand around. So then you're gonna be like, oh, I'll just do one workout. But by the time you do one, you had your pre-workout, you're feeling good, you're just gonna do the whole thing. So Atomic Habits was a really good one too.
That's a good one, and actually, that's like another good success tip. You even slid in there without even realizing it. 75 Hard. It sounds like we've all done it on this episode. So it's that's 75 Hard's a program in itself that I recommend anybody to do. I recommend really people do it once a year, but. You know, just like I said, just doing it even one time is something to be proud of, because it really does like set you up to just be accomplishing things like throughout the day. Like, all right, I'm gonna do these things, and it makes you set it up and knock it down. So definitely like that. And both those books, Atomic Habits and The Go-Giver, those are definitely great recommendations for people. So I'll let you guys each answer this individually, or even if you want to help finish each other's, sentences on this one. This is kind of like the final question. What's some advice you'd give someone starting today if they want to do what you do? And maybe think on that as like, what's something that like, is so obvious to you guys now that y'all didn't know when y'all got started, as another way to kind of look at that one. But yeah, let's like I said, in either one, y'all can, whoever wants to take it away first.
Viv, you go first.
I'm thinking.
Me too. That's a good question. I guess she'll answer Airbnb maybe, and I'll do the wholesale.
Yeah, that's it. That sounds great.
Okay.
I want to like not harp on this too much again, but I feel like with Airbnb, like nowadays, like I meet so many people at like meetups and things who are like, oh, it's slow season, like it's so slow, I'm not getting any bookings. And I'm like, can I see your listing? And then I see it and it's fine, but like it's just not catching anyone's eye. And people are scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. There's so many options, and like if you're not standing out like that, first you have to have professional photos, professionally edit them, like really put so much love and attention and intention into creating your listing, from the setup to like every little detail to getting those professional photos, and not stopping there, but editing them to like really telling a story, your description, like paint a picture. That listing is you selling the story of staying in your Airbnb. It's like you're creating this experience, and that's the trailer. And you really have to like put your heart into that, or no one's going to give you the time of day. And you're right. It's like, maybe it is slow season, but like people are still coming. There's just not as many. So there's not as much to go around, and you have to stand out even more.
No, I think that's great advice. Would you recommend, because I was just thinking that, as you were telling that tip, to make a better, like listing as far as the text and everything, do you use like ChatGPT to like tweak it, or are you just a natural at giving the right words?
I love ChatGPT. I'm like a little reliant on it probably, but it's just so impressive. Like it can literally do so much. And I mean,
I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. Like I use it shamelessly, like all the time. Like, like go check out the Clean Eats Real posts. Like ChatGPT wrote everything.
Yeah, I'll be as creative and great as I can be, but like I'm not always the best at grammar, or they can just say things a little differently, or it'll give me ideas. Like, and I'm like, oh wow, I'll implement that.
And I will say this, like ChatGPT is only as good as the questions and tips you add into it. So, if the better questions you ask and the better information you give it, the better it can do for you. So it's definitely a great tool, but no, that's definitely solid advice. And, not everyone should definitely use ChatGPT to help achieve it outside of just hiring Vivian to, run it for you. So, and then, Bryce, what's your life advice?
Man, two different answers for two different people. I'd say if you're not already in sales and you don't understand efficient communication, go knock on doors, whether it's foreclosures, pest, solar, I don't care. Like just go figure out a way to put yourself through the trenches so you understand how to get yourself out of those trenches. Because if you haven't done that, you can't initiate phase 2 where you're doing strategic networking and actually delegating the correct people. If you don't know how to play chess, how can you move the chess pieces around? So I think people who have an intense sales background, who understand that kind of communication, I think they need to get good at lowering their ego and joining a team early on instead of doing everything themselves, especially closers. In the closer space, I'll even attest to this. You get big egos when you close a lot of deals. So my transformation of, only closing deals to opening up an entire business, I was like, I got this. I can close deals. I can't integrate all of my softwares efficiently. I can do that. It takes too much time. I needed, in hindsight now, a team to understand the chess pieces that I already did not have knowledge of, aside from just closing the damn deals. So hindsight, with that being said, I would have really figured out how to strategically network to get on someone's team that is trustable and to skip the entire 1.5 years of learning that I had to go through because I chose to do it myself because I had a high ego, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't want to split anything. I didn't want to be partners with anyone. I wanted to do it all on my own. And then now fast forward to this year, I have my own business and it was worth it, but I'm doing it more so now than ever because of how many people I'm doing business with and interacting. And, I'm not doing everything on my own. My acquisition is not done by me anymore. So the biggest thing I would say to someone with sales background is join someone's team, get good at strategically networking with people, kind of like the go-giver. Random networking connections that arise can be very fruitful when you don't even realize it in the future. And then last but not least, hop on someone's team, skip the learning curve, and then implement that later. If I had spent 3-4 months on some high-level team, I now have skipped a whole year of knowledge that I would have had that I built up myself for my own business that I could have just took for my own. So yeah.
No, that's definitely great advice. And one thing I'll kind of say, just from based on all the people I've talked to in real estate that do wholesales, one observation I've made is it seems like people that are the best wholesalers that I know, either one, they have a whole company, like, so they have their own team that, like, so they have someone doing all the different pieces and they all come together and they execute a lot of deals together. Or it's usually someone who's, and this is where I believe you more fit in, is someone who really just does half the equation, but they do it a lot because they got other people bring them the other half. And it's like, you're the dispo guy. So it's like, as long as you got people like signing them up, you can get them out. And a lot of people don't realize, like, you close a lot more deals. Like you can get, it's better to get, half of 20 deals than all of 5,
Yeah, no, and that's why I love Dispo, because I can put a chess piece in place for my internal acquisitions while simultaneously dispoing other people's deals from their acquisition teams.
Exactly. No, and the way you're doing is great because, like, you don't stop trying to pull your own, but at the same time, you're not dependent on pulling your own because you got a constant feed of, people bringing your stuff to Dispo. So no, that's definitely a great tip. And I learned a lot from both you guys, and I'm definitely appreciate both you guys giving you the time today and coming on the show. Great information. I definitely want to get up with you guys again in the future, grab some lunch. Maybe I can barter some extra Clean Eats meals to Vivian to look over my Airbnb listings for me to help me spruce them up a little bit.
We're getting the bison, the top quality stuff of it.
Yeah.
Accordingly.
Of course, yeah. We'll get some bison mac and cheese bowls made up for you guys as the trade. I appreciate you guys coming on today. You guys shared a lot of great knowledge. I know you guys are going to continue to go far in real estate. So I'm actually looking forward to having you guys back on to a future episode. Maybe check in and, in 6 months from now, and we'll see where you guys are at on that 12-month achievement. Yeah, I thank you guys so much, for coming on today and sharing all your knowledge, with the guests. So the big thing, I definitely want to make sure people can reach out and find you. So if someone was wanting to get in touch for short-term rentals or to get you to help them with the interior design, where would they reach out or find you, Vivian?
So you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. It's Vivian R. Walsh. And then our website is on there. But if you want to just go straight to the website, it's bnvmanagement.com.
Okay, awesome. And then Bryce, if someone wants to check out what deals you currently, have available for Dispo, or if they have a deal they want to bring you to help get it out there, where would people go to your website or get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I have a link in my Instagram bio. It's just Bryce Thigpen, BryceThigpen. And then aside from that, I really don't have a website because everything I handle is really transactional. So there's really not a need to advertise those services as much. Mm-hmm. But if you hit me up directly on my Instagram, I was going to give my phone number, but I don't know if you're going to turn into Joe Rogan and we have too many people.
Yeah. Hey, look, Will actually gave his phone number out in the first episode. So, I mean, so I mean, if you want to give it, it's, So where people call you at?
Yeah, 850-585-4636. I'll be able to send you links to get on my buyer form and then also shoot you any appropriate deals on where you're buying, whether it's cash or creative. We do them both. We just specialize in creative.
Awesome. No, that's great. And then anyone who wants to, check in with us at the Elite Real Estate Podcast, just go to the eliterealestatepodcast.com and you can see our latest episode. We also have a little form on there if you want to fill it out and give us your information. If you have any deals you want us to check out or you want us to partner with you guys, anything, please bring it to our attention. And then you can always find me on Instagram at Sam_FloridaMan. That's my personal Instagram page. So definitely come and shoot me a message sometime if you all are looking at a deal and want me to check it out with you. Always here to help. But I appreciate you guys coming on the show today. You guys, like I said, shared a lot of knowledge. And I definitely encourage people to reach out to you both, if anyone has any needs in those specific areas, because you guys can definitely help them out in amazing ways. Like I said, I really definitely think Vivian's combination of, short-term rentals with interior design is the ultimate that, not enough people, probably recognize yet, but, you'll definitely build up a lot of clients that way, because once word will spread that, hey, I just handed her a blank condo and, she did it. She did it all. That's going to make it easy on people. So anyway, guys, thank you for coming on today. And as always, everybody, please tune in to the next episode of the Elite Real Estate Podcast. We'll see y'all soon.